A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum. We are live on Radio 1 FM 90, broadcasting from the Central Building, which is the home of this radio station. We are also live on our website, www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. You can also find this radio station via the different radio listening apps. Those you can obtain from the apps of your smartphone. You download, look for Radio 1 FM 90, and as long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to listen to us from anywhere across the globe. We do value your feedback and request you to take part in this discussion. Share with us your thoughts via the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. My name is Kenneth Anderson Lukwago, your host, and today I have two guests from Kampala Capital City Authority. Let me introduce them. Miss Florence Kyosabire, she's a supervisor, education services at KCCA. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Also in studio, Miss Eunice Tumwebaze, Manager Gender, Youth and Children Affairs at KCCA. It's a pleasure having you on Spectrum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson, and good evening, listeners. I'm happy to be back.
These ladies are here in studio to talk about a program that KCCA has been implementing for some time. It's called the Girls Empowering Girls Program, where they do a number of things that we will be hearing during the course of this discussion. Like I said, it's very important for you to interact with us. So as we continue with the discussion here in studio, please do share with us your thoughts. Use the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. I want to begin with you, Eunice, if you can begin by giving us a background. When we talk about the Girls Empowering Girls program, what exactly are you talking about?
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Anderson and the whole management of Radio 1. What is Girls Empowering Girls? KCCA and Government of Uganda in 2017 carried out a research, and I'm happy I'm with my sister here, Florence, from the Education Department, Directorate, and greetings from our Directorate of Gender, Community Services and Production, and the KCCA. We are here because of the Girls Empowering Girls program that is closing on the 30th, painfully, 30th of April. And this program was born after research that was carried out in 2017. What was this research about? At that time, and maybe now, many girls were not completing primary 7. There is a school we went to, Kato Primary, and they said that if they would sit 40 girls, if they begin primary 1, like there are 70 girls, by primary 6 they are 40, and then crossing over to P7, remember they are already 12 years and they have breasts, they are about 20. So when there are 20 seats, about 5 of them will come back to pick their results. That was an interesting thing. So many girls were dropping out of school.
Here in Kampala?
Here in Kampala. And then they were also becoming pregnant at an early age. A lot was found out. But also there was a high rate of child poverty. So these Girls Empowering Girls came in to support the girls from the most vulnerable parishes of Kampala, like Bwaise, Katwe, Banda, to support them cross over to adulthood without dropping out of school, without becoming pregnant at an early age. This research was coupled by UBOS data that was showing the high pockets of poverty in this city. So that's how we focused on only girls, to empower them to be able to cross over to adulthood without dropping out of school, without becoming child mothers. And so what is Girls Empowering Girls? This is a program that we have implemented since 2019 with the support from UNICEF and the Belgium government. Of course, at the beginning, we had the first cohort was supported by the European Union, and then after we transited to the Belgium government, and they've been passing funds through UNICEF. And what is the program about? It's about mentoring young girls aged between 12 and 15. 12, they are in primary 6. So we look at if
Upper
it is
primary.
upper primary. So we look at all the girls who are in primary 6 upwards. So but primary 6 is the class that was being recruited. And would work with them for 4 years. And then in those 4 years, we are mentoring them about self-esteem, about focusing, about planning, about appreciating themselves, about knowing that they are full human beings who have a very bright future. That is what mentorship is done means. And that mentorship is not done by with the adults, because young girls will say, this adult has already seen it all. That's why she can say what she says. But we have mentors, people who are almost, young girls who are almost their age, but who have moved on, who have achieved something in life, who have finished university, who have finished high school, and they come and move with these girls. And they talk about, how to navigate life without dropping out. Of course, when the girls were interviewed, they said, the men disturb them, and especially the border borders.
All right.
Because most of them go like that. Then the second component is referral services. If there are those girls who are abused, then they are referred to for services like legal, health, education, if there are those who have dropped out of school and they want to go back to school. Then the third component that KCCA has been managing is the cash transfer. Every month, these girls have been getting 40,000, and this money would come after 4 months. That is 160,000, and this money was being given to them on their phones. It is the first social protection for the urban concerned with adolescent girls. That is the most important thing, and it's not just a program that has been implemented elsewhere. It has been piloted in Uganda, and to be specific, in Kampala.
All right.
It's the first urban social protection program for adolescent girls. We've been working with partners, apart from UNICEF and Belgium. We've been working with TMF, which is the Trailblazer Foundation, Mentoring Foundation, and then Uganda Youth Development Link, UYDEL. And we've been working with the in-school, and she'll tell us the schools that we've been working with, and then the out-of-school. The out-of-school, we are getting skills, they were being mentored, they were being encouraged to go back to school, and some have gone back to school. Thank you so much. All right.
Let's go to Madame Florence. Madame Florence, you are in charge of supervising education services at KCCA. Yes. She began by telling us girls are dropping out of schools. Yet we understand education is very critical in transforming people's lives, especially when it comes to women.
Yes.
During this study you carried out, and overall when you look at education services in KCCA, why are girls dropping out?
Yeah, thank you so much. Just adding my voice to my colleague Eunice, who is in gender. Once again, my name is Florence Kyosabire, Mrs. Muhumuza, Supervisor Education Services, KCCA. And as far as Girls Empowering Girls program, I have been the focal person for the entire education. Yes. So the research that we carried out together with our funders, we came to discover that one of the reasons why girls drop out of school, they are always disturbed. They get pregnant early. So when they get pregnant, one, they fear to go back to school. Their parents are not supportive in a way. In short, the community is not supportive to such girls. They imagine all their chances are shattered. Two, there are some personal needs that they really need in the exposure, and at times they don't have people to address them to. One, in Kampala we have many girls who are in these families, but most of them are not biological children in those families. My niece, I bring her in my home to assist her, but I cannot manage to take her to these top-notch schools, Kampala Parents, Victorious, and so on. So the only thing I look at is to put her in a nearby UPE school, that is Universal Primary Schools that we have, which are purely government. The third one, they have their needs, the sanitary towels and so on. So at times they keep quiet because they are informed, I have paid your school fees, so find your way. So these girls have been struggling. So you find a girl in a month, she's going to spend 2 to 5 days when she's in her periods, and she must remain at home till it stops. By the time she comes back, she cannot catch up. So at the end of it all, she sees herself as if she cannot make a breakthrough. So automatically they drop out, plus these other social abuses. And when we were selecting these schools, when we were selecting the schools, we were guided by the poverty map of Kampala, where we have those poverty-stricken divisions, as you know. For instance, when you go to Nakawa, we have the Banda area, we have Naguru, where we have the Naguru go downs and so on. When you go to a division like Kawempe, we have the Chimombasa area. You go to Central Division, we have the entire Chisenyi. You go to Rubaga, we have Nakulabye, we have Kasubi, we have Rubya. So when we were selecting these schools, we were informed by the poverty map. So we look at this school in that poverty area where we know that the hinterland are those parishes around. Yes, so it's not that we had to select which specific girl is needy, but we said let's make it general, and we pick from one class, which is P6.
So poverty is a very important aspect in this issue.
Perfect.
Okay. So now that you've been implementing this program for quite some time, what have you been able to achieve? What have you been able to realize? What kind of people have you been working with? Can you report anything in terms of progress?
Yeah, as she has already told you, we were working with partners. Of course, we could not do it directly. For us, we were managing the program, but we had to bring in partners to perform these functions like mentoring, as she has told you, to two-way, because UIDEL is in charge of out-of-school girls, and the TMF is in charge of in-school girls.
So you are working with those in schools and those
out
outside
of school.
Let's begin from there. Those in schools, what have you been doing?
So what we've been doing, of course, after having brought these partners, the implementing partners on board, we followed up on the syllabus that we created. We would do it together. So these mentors, the girls she has talked about, the young ladies,
Champions.
the champions, we would tag them to different schools. You find a school has a lead mentor and about 2, 3, 4 mentors. So this lead mentor is overseeing what these mentors are doing, and you find that each girl is like assigned to about 7 girls to be particular, and we would use 1-2 hours mainly after classes when they are physically in school, and they have their closed sessions where these girls can open up, and now these ones would, according to the syllabus, take them through what they are supposed to do. In short, they created this kind of friendship because they are close to them, as she has explained. They don't fear them as the aunties, as the judges.
Peer to peer.
Peer to peer. That's why it is called a peer mentors and so on. Then too, there is that component of cash that she has talked about.
Cash transfers.
Cash transfers. We partnered with MTN. Yes, they gave us phones, and these phones would be given to every girl, but obviously under the patronage of the parent. So the money would not go direct to these girls. It would go through the phone, and we have feedback system where we know these girls, even those ones who would, slightly miss out, the reporting system was very clear. Now, this money is mainly meant for those needs that I have talked about. Yes.
So if we came to KCCA and requested for records, would you be able to show us the records of the amounts of money that you've been able to send out?
Yes, please.
Because sometimes, entities receive money and then they tell you we have been sending the money. Before you know it, the money has been going to some people. You remember during COVID,
I know.
money was going to some relatives instead of the male beneficiaries. I hope that has not been the case.
No, it can't happen because the reporting system has been very strict. To mention that what have we achieved, over 3,700 girls have been reached. That is 1,500 girls under cohort 1 that ended in 2022, and then 2,200 girls under cohort 2 that is closing this 30th April. And the money we receive it from UNICEF on a quarterly basis. And we don't get more money until we've accounted.
For what
and
you
how do
first.
we account? We have a management information system, Girls Empowering, KCCA, MIS, Girls Empowering Girls.org. If you go, you'll see it. And it shows how many girls are in the system, how many have been mentored, how many have received referral to services, how many have actually received their money. So there's no way we can get our money, we can eat that money, we cannot. We cannot. Then what else have we achieved?
There are those that are in school and those that are not.
Yes.
I wanted also to hear what you've done for those who are out
I
of
wanted to
school.
mention how much money we've so far transferred.
Okay.
About 6 billion.
6 billion.
6.2 billion
6.2
has
billion
gone to the
beneficiaries.
3,700 girls.
3,700 girls. And this money has been for schooling?
For their needs.
Have you been following up to the homes?
Yeah,
to
some
find
have
out?
started businesses.
Okay.
Actually, over 300 businesses have been started by these young girls. Because at UIDE, for the out of school, those who feel they cannot go back to school, they have started their businesses after doing vocational skills.
Skilling.
Tailoring, saloon work, designing, digital marketing, most of those, and they have started those businesses. Actually, to mention that tomorrow, some will be showcasing. I think we also need to talk about the girls that we work with. Ugandans, those living with disabilities, apart from the other age, and the refugee girls who are living here in the urban. So most of, for example, the refugee girls and those living with disabilities, some have chose to begin their own businesses after being trained in skills, various skills. And we see them really transiting and managing their own lives and living safe lives.
All right.
Then
Florence,
we have also had a more than 92% transitional rate to secondary school, which education department is not to have in those parishes.
92%.
92 transitional.
the
Yes. please.
rate
So
has
only
increased.
8 have failed, but at least 92% of our girls
Have been
have
able to go to secondary school.
And those, thank you.
Florence, you wanted to add on?
Yes. Now we are talking about out of school girls. I have already told you the reasons why those girls were dropping out. So we are targeting this girl who is in the range of 15 years, is out of school, and she has been out of school not more than 2 years. So these girls have been brought back to school, and they have actually made it tomorrow we shall look at and listen to their testimonies. Yes. Even their children have been supported, connecting them to the ECDs we have, especially those ones that are attached to our UPE schools. Yes, and this one has encouraged our girls. Of course, among the things that the mentors talk about is about, zero tolerance to early sex and so on. They have been empowered. The self-esteem is high. They are proud. Yes. So as we try to retain these ones in school, we are also trying to get these ones who still have interest and who are still within the age limit to come back to school.
All right. There's something you're also talking about here. I'm looking into in your documents, which you call referrals to social services.
Yes.
Can you explain this a little bit and how it has worked under this program?
Yes, when we talk about referrals, because there are other services which may not be directly in community or directly in schools. Issues to do with health. These girls in the process, they have issues which cannot be disclosed. So working with our health centers, because another directorate which is linked to this program is public health. So they have created safe spaces for these girls. When they go to our health centers, they have their safe spaces where they can talk. At times they have these STDs, but they don't want to talk when other people are listening. The diagnosis, So they go to these schools with confidence. Those who get pregnant, at times they don't access antenatal services. But when they go to our health services, they get. Others are education. They are out of school. We are there to see how to bring them back to school.
I thought some of these girls would go to KCCA service points, including health facilities.
That's what I'm talking about. Chisenyi, Komamboga, Chisugu, because every division has health centers. Now our services, the referrals, are connected because we are working with these health centers and they are aware. So the referrals are so easy.
All right.
Maybe to add
very quickly
that sometimes the girls are abused. For example, if they are raped, then they talk to their mentors and then they are connected to the service points
Through the probation
the probation office.
Yes.
For example, the medical, but also very important, the legal.
raped.
Yes. Remember, people when they are raped, it's like a shame. Of course, it's a shameful process. So sometimes they will not easily connect with the services, but through talking to their mentors, then they are connected to the right services and they get justice.
Do you also try to follow up to ensure
Yes,
that the
we
perpetrators
do.
are
We
punished?
do. We do.
Oh,
We
yes,
do.
because we work together with
Have you had
probation
situations
officers.
where you've had people arrested and
Yes,
prosecuted?
many. And we even follow them up to Guru, Rango, wherever they are, even Southwest. Then the other services is when they're out of schools, and even those who are in school begin their own projects. They are linked to government programs like Youth Livelihood Program, the PDM, or the government, Temioga, depending on what they are doing. Then they are also linked to KCCA service points, for example,
Yes.
of course, education, the health centers, but also we have the Employment Services Bureau. And some of the girls have expressed interest in learning digital activities, how to carry out, to do digital marketing and the rest. They have been trained by Employment Services Bureau, which is a government, which is a KCCA service, KCCA entity.
I really hope that the ongoing trade order enforcement measures have not affected some of these businesses, because most of these girls, some of them are in those small businesses, chips, chicken, and some of these things. They are working on roadsides, trying to sell those small things left, right, and center. We hope their businesses have
not been affected. No. Again, some of the information these girls get. It's where to establish businesses, how to manage the businesses. And remember, KCCA has markets. So we also refer them to those market spaces where they can do their work from.
All right. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We are going to go for a break. In studio today, I have two ladies from KCCA, Miss Florence Kyosabire, Supervisor Education Services at KCCA, and Miss Eunice Tumwebaze, Manager Gender, Youth and Children Affairs at the same institution. We are looking at how KCCA has empowered girls through the Girls Empowering Girls program, which is soon coming to an end on the 30th of this month. And we will be asking what happens thereafter. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90 because we'll continue with this discussion. Well, we're glad that you're still with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. Our topic today, we are looking at how KCCA has empowered girls through the Girls Empowering Girls program, which is a program that started in 2019 with funding from UNICEF and other development partners, including the Belgian government. And the target has been helping the girls who are in schools and those that have dropped out of schools to be able to continue with their livelihoods. According to what has been shared so far, this program has enabled continuation rate from primary to P7, from primary to senior secondary schools by 92%, what is being called the transitional rates. There's also been an aspect of cash transfers where about 6.2 billion shillings has been transferred to different girls in order to help them start businesses, but also continue with schooling. There's been mentorship. There's been skills development. And most girls, according to what has been shared so far, have been able to start their businesses. And we understand that about 370,000 girls have benefited from this particular initiative. Unfortunately, it will be closing on the 30th of this month. And tomorrow, we understand, there's a final graduation for the cohort that has been undergoing training. I have two ladies here in studio sharing about this particular program. In studio here, two ladies from KCCA, and that includes Madam Florence Kyosabire, Supervisor Education Services at KCCA, and Miss Eunice Tumwebaze, Manager Gender, Youth and Children Affairs at the same institution. Now, ladies, you've shared some impact that has been created. But then, like you said at the beginning, sadly, the program is closing. What happens? It was a pilot. You've, excited people. Children are in schools. Some are still waiting, and, some have been mentored and waiting for your support to start businesses. Others are now in secondary. You've been supporting them, maybe buying books and things like that. The poverty levels have not changed in these communities where you've been. A pilot is coming to an end. What next?
What next? This Girls Empowering Girls has produced birthed other program. And I know currently those programs are being implemented in West Nile, where there's a lot of high rate of, again, school dropout of especially girls, and because of pregnancy. It's called Girls and Education. Also, this Girls Empowering Girls program, which is a social protection program, has been included in our National Development Plan 4. That allows us now to write proposals, to advocate for government to take it up and give us more money.
If it is included
Also,
in the National Development Plan, do you have to write proposals, really? It means it's part of the government plan.
Because, yes.
They should just start giving you the money.
Yes. Yes, but we the way we operate, we must justify why we still want it.
So you want to tell me, when you look at your budget,
yes,
as KCCA,
at the moment,
for financial year 2026-2027, you have no allocation for this program?
Currently, no, because the cash transfer I've talked about $1 billion.
6.2 billion.
6.2 billion. That's a lot of money that we need to access through writing proposals and advocating and ensuring that government understands why we need this money again. So what are we doing?
You're writing to the government.
We are writing proposals
to the government.
Different. Yeah, because that's how at the moment it's a program 4. the way we implement, you
Okay.
must write and
Justify.
justify so that you can get that money.
Okay.
We are also lobbying our partners. We have talked to UNICEF, and they are also writing to their funders, Belgium government and others, to come and support,
To continue
supporting.
Mm.
So we are not seated, but also we are building on the gains already so that we sustain them. How are we doing it? We have the list of all the mentors, and we want to continue using them to sensitize other girls and boys. Then we have male champions who have been supporting us. We also want them to continue doing the same work. Then in schools, we have senior women and senior men.
Mm.
Already, they are continuing the work that we've been doing. The only component that's a little tricky is the cash transfer. But the mentorship, we have a manual already that we are using, and that same manual we need to replicate. We'll be replicating the work that we have been doing. So it's not that we are ending completely. Yes, the funding may reduce at the moment until we pick it up after writing and advocating and also justifying why we need more money. But the results that we have received in this pilot, we'll see how to replicate them. Thank
Yes,
you.
Madam Florence.
Yes, additional to that, she made a hint on a sister program operating in the north. Actually, this program, that pilot in the north, could not start without engaging with us. We had a whole week in Jinja where we met with another team of people going to start it in the north, and they had to listen to how we started it, how we developed it, all these impact areas we are talking about. So as they are doing it that way, for us, we consider it to be the impact of GEG. Yes. So you never know. Once the government knows about it, we don't know where the source of funding would be. It could be government. It could be in partnership with other agencies. It could go to another region in Uganda with those characteristics. So at the end of it all, the thing will catch fire, and you find that it is already in the whole country. But again, when you look at it in terms of concentrating in UPE schools, probably we imagine that the Ministry of Education is likely to pick interest to see how we are doing it, because we are tapping into these girls that are really vulnerable. We have talked about the component of inclusion, where we have the refugees and we have the girls with special needs. A lot is being done. For instance, we have those children who drop out, special needs children who drop out, or who are in school but they are not assisted. When you look around, there are so many organizations that are ready to assist these girls, but at times there is no framework under which they can come in. KCCA has a special needs center for assessment. We have been working with this center to see that our girls are assessed in school, out of school, so that we can see the type of placement that we can have. And with this inclusion, which I think is already included in the NDP4, as Eunice has said, we would be a very good benchmark for the government to see how such children with disabilities can be assisted. Then another point, as we were mentoring, as we were giving cash, the only component that would not go outside the selected girls would be cash, money. But about mentorship, the girls would also access. That's why we are talking of the champions. Senior men would be brought on board. So we imagined that this program can assist our schools, especially where the senior women and senior men, and we shall continue at least taking them through these sessions so that they can be able to assist the girls and boys in schools. Those are some of the strategies that we have. And for the refugee community, it is more to do with the creating awareness, because most of these children in refugee communities don't go to schools. They just confine them in their areas. They don't access programs like immunization. But with this, we know the integration is going to be well balanced.
All right. 0703-090-090 is the number where you can send your comments or question. Today we are looking at the efforts by KCCA to promote the rights of girls in terms of education, skilling, and other aspects under the Girls Empowering Girls program. Two ladies in studio, Miss Florence Kyosabire, Supervisor, Education Services at KCCA, Miss Eunice Tumwebaze, Manager, Gender, Youth and Children Affairs at KCCA. Now, let's look at some of the key lessons that you've learned from this program, because those lessons might be very important in shaping the next steps that you take as KCCA, but even as government in general. And we'll also look at the way forward as we wait for comments from the listener.
Thank you so much. We have learned a lot. At the individual level, when you use girls to mentor fellow girls, the girls that are being mentored, they gain confidence. They are reassured. If there are those who have really lost hope, they are reassured. Look at a fellow girl saying, if she made it, I can make it. So the girls gain confidence, they become self-aware, and they choose to look forward because they are more empowered after getting mentored by the fellow girls. Using the MIS to understand who is more vulnerable in our communities helps us to target better. You remember during COVID, I hear some government workers received money. Mine never received. Some government workers, or even those who were better, like Mr. Anderson, received that posho and beans.
I want to confirm to you that I did not receive.
But with the MIS linked
like
to
you
the...
said, truth is we had. It was a scandal.
It was a scandal.
People in government sending the money to their relatives.
So that was sad. So with the MIS, identifying the most vulnerable or the state of our population, and we know that this MIS of Girls Empowering Girls is going to be linked to the central MIS registry. Then we'll be able to know who is going through what and how can we support. And I know our government is doing that. So also GEG is not a minute-like program. We have learned that it can be used in many areas. The education department and the ministry in particular has already picked it up. From the lessons we have learned in Kampa, they have used it in other areas to support girls to remain in school. So for us, we are excited. And we know that our government is actually using the life cycle from birth to death. So capturing these who are vulnerable along the life cycle and empowering them, then you'll have an empowered nation at the end of the day. So Girls Empowering Girls has really taught us so many programs, lessons. And I know if it is picked for the whole country, some of the challenges that we see in our population may be reduced.
Right.
Do you know these children we saw on the streets? Some are born by girls who are not ready to become mothers, boys and girls. They sleep together for just one day and the girl becomes pregnant. And then when she's pregnant, she doesn't know how to look after this baby. And we find them on the streets of Kampala. And of course, if a child does not get everything that he or she needs, then that child will be poor. And then even if that child goes back to school at a certain age, picking up is not easy. and therefore we shall have a poor population going through a lot, which cannot contribute to the government, to the community, to the country that we want to see, an empowered community.
All right.
Thank you.
Florence, you come from the education side, and you can also share with us some lessons, because I believe this program provides an opportunity to address the challenge of girls dropping out of school, because it's one big problem that even the president has been concerned about, you know. And I'm thinking, if well sold to the government, maybe it's something that they can inject resources in, maybe to partner with the donors or to fully take it up under the national budget.
Yeah. Let me use this example. As I was coming here, I was coming from a session we had, and the main sponsor was NSSF. And some of the things they talked about is about financial literacy. Just bare minimum of 5,000. But remember, when we started, we have the financial component, and we could not simply get money and throw it to these girls. They would be taken through financial literacy sessions. And because of that, these girls, together with their families, they are empowered, because it would be decisions on how to use this money. And this money is, I would use the catchword of give directly. This money is given directly. And for us, we don't go there to set conditions on how this money should be used. But they would be taken through financial literacy sessions. So decision making on how, you know, the biggest portion should come to the girl. At times they would contribute to the school fees, the personal effects, and so on. So to me, I feel these girls and their families are empowered enough to take some important decisions around finances. So the reason why I'm mentioning NSSF, you know, people have little information about how NSSF operates. There is this new program or product that has come on board, Smart Life. So with Smart Life, someone with 16 years, you see, can join. And from 5,000, they can continue doing what? Saving. These girls, with or without the money, but with knowledge, they can even get involved in saving at that early stage. Of course, what they invest, what they save comes with some interest. At the end of it all, they enticed, and they see there is no need of dropping out of school. I would also talk about scholarships. We have government scholarships. At times I would say it is a nightmare. At times we wonder whether it goes to the to people who really, you know. Sorry to say, you will find that a minister's child is benefiting from it. By the time they advertise, they have already been taken. That's what we are told. I'm sometimes not very sure about that. But with this system we are talking about, IMS, if it can be well even integrated in other systems like EMIS's Education Management Information System, where we have the information about every child in all these schools in the whole country, we would be able, because this system, the Education Management Information System, is even talking about the status of these girls, you know, whether is an orphan, a refugee, and the like. So eventually, if we go into these systems, we shall tap the rightful person to benefit. If you look at the money that goes into government scholarships, if it can be brought down to benefit the girls, the boys that are deserving, how much would we harvest from this? So it is not a simple, these are not simple lessons, but they are very bigger lessons that we can pick from this. Good enough tomorrow, as we are graduating these girls, we have the Prime Minister, the Vice President, you know, we have our Executive Director. Obviously, you know, you never know what might come out of this, because it is going to be a showcase in one way or the other.
All right.
So we really feel it is not sweat going for nothing.
All right, we have comments coming in. Robina writes in and says, why can't KCCA take over this program from the donors and provide the funding through their budget? Government has schools in Kampala. They can link these girls to continue with their education under that arrangement. That's one question, one contribution there. Opio listening in from Naguru. Thanks for the program. Mentorship of girls is good, but what about the boy child? Let's empower all, not only girls. Thanks. Then we have another person writing, the irony in this country is we want to do what other people are doing just to be seen as good people in society. The naked truth is that ourselves, we are still in Stone Age. And political intolerance has eroded every good program. And it seems these programs are not for everyone, but a few connected people. Somebody thinks only a few people are benefiting from it. Then we have another comment from James who says, after skilling the girls, like you've suggested, do you provide them with equipment, maybe tailoring machines, saloon equipment, to be able to start their business? Because it's one thing providing the skilling and the other to find capital to start the businesses. That's a comment from James there. Those are the 4 comments we have for this particular discussion, if you can respond to them very quickly.
Thank you so much. Indeed, KCCA is taking up the components of mentorship and referral services. For the cash transfer, we are going to write and look for the funding. Someone has said, after training, do we give startup kits? Yes, for those who are interested in programs like tailoring, soap making, videography, they are given kits to start. They are supported. Mentorship of girls and boys, yes. We started as girls empowering girls. But like Madam Florence has said, when they are mentoring, they mentor everyone.
Boys empowering boys.
They mentor everyone in primary 6. But the girls, because of their unique challenges of wanting pads every month, of wanting soap, of wanting something, for them they are given that small cash to support them with their unique needs. Others mentoring, we do group mentorship for all the boys and girls in those classes that we are working with.
All right.
Then someone said that those programs are for those who are known. No, that is not true. When we are selecting actually these girls, apart from the schools that are in the most vulnerable parishes, we go to the local leaders and they identify with us those girls.
All right.
So it's not that we know, even for me, if you asked me who is so and so, I can see the girl, but I must say she's from this place.
All right. She has almost answered all the questions. So we want you to make the closing remarks.
Oh, yes. So when we say, why can't KCCA take it up? In our strategies, we have already started on it because we told you that we involve senior men and senior women. So it is already deeply rooted in schools. But as expanding it, we can now use this model to bring our senior men, senior women, and we continue empowering boys and girls.
All right.
Then about the boy child, there are so many initiatives that are coming up to do with a boy child, but at times they don't know what to do. We are here.
All right.
Yes.
I want to thank you ladies for coming out here to share very important information about this program. Good luck, and we hope they provide you more funding to continue with this initiative because it's turning lives around. I want to thank you, dear listener, for tuning in and contributing to this discussion.
So
Up next, we have the news in English with Ms. Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Sultan. You have one word to say?
Yes, tomorrow we have the graduation of all those girls that have attended this program, and we shall also award our partners for what they have done for us.
All right.
And then the chief guest to that activity is the Vice President of this country, Uganda, and we are so grateful Thank you so much, Radio One, for the opportunity.
All right. Tomorrow, 2 hours of analysis of top events of the week. Do join me then during Spectrum Extra. Until then, it's a good night.